welcome to your weekly corner, Späti. It is me at the Polish Coalition, Kieran.
Hi.
And Rob. He jumped the gun there a bit. It's all right. We'll talk about it afterwards in the struggle session.
Silesian Coalition. We're Upper and Lower Silesia. That's what Schlesische Tor means, you know?
I know that's
it's on the way.
I know that's what, I know every street in this city is like leading to a part of Eastern Europe the Germans think they should own.
For the Freikorps, Silesia is just like suburban Ohio. They just want to set up their above ground pools.
Silesia is definitely like hipster Prussia because like all the like
they love that shit, man.
All the like weird fucked up German people who are like try to put the Prussian flag in their like bio or something. That like I don't believe in like Prussian annexation. I believe in Silesian annexation. Actually, I was into it before Kaliningrad. That is to say, we're talking about the Czech Republic today. If that all makes sense, and we are joined by the lovely gang over at Squatemala. Say hello.
Hey guys.
Hello everybody.
There is, for anyone out there who speaks Czech or a language that can understand it, there's a podcast for you. It's good. Yulia has listened to it and told me it was good. I had listened to it and I was like, crazy language you have over there, and then stopped listening to it.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the lovely little country called the Czech Republic. But actually, I do want to get this on recording if that's all right, Martin. I'd actually love to hear the take on why Czech is kind of a problematic term.
So hello from the Squatemala podcast. My name is Martin. I am not Czech. I am Moravian.
There you go.
Bullshit again.
I am Moravian. This is a distinct nationality and ethnicity, distinct and separate from Czech. And Ondřej here, Ondra, who is joining us in the studio, who is a crucial part of the Squatemala podcast, more than one half of the Squatemala podcast, is Bohemian.
Yes, I am.
He is Bohemian.
So my original sin.
Yes, that is indeed a sin, which are one of the components of the mix the Czech Republic actually is. Moravian and Bohemian. So those are the two main nationalities. Then there is a nationality that's called Silesian, which is questionable. And we will not say anything about these people on the
questionable.
podcast.
What is a questionable nationality? I don't understand that. It's
Rhodesian. 100% out the gate. Easy answer.
Also German.
Yeah, also German. That is true.
I'm sorry. And yeah, I mean the whole question of the Czech nationality, the Bohemian nationality, is one that's as old as time, and it's the whole freaking spiel about how nations have sort of undergone a sort of awakening of the nation state in the 1800s, and draws back to the formation of Czechoslovakia, which is a pseudo state, a pseudo nationality. That was only created in order to persecute and minorityfy Germans back in those days.
Yeah.
And it's basically still with us. For me, it means that I get to call myself a POC.
Jesus Christ. I don't think your audience is ready for this. I'm sorry.
Oh no, they are.
Sorry,
they're freaks.
This is
it's now or never. We got to throw them in the deep end of
exactly
European ethnicity. It's been like 3 years. So we've had this podcast for a while.
You've been primed with 3 years of insane podcasts. We can talk about Moravia.
And you will be welcome here. Our land is overfilled with grain, with good spirits, good-hearted people, and yeah.
Okay.
For any Berliners who survived the train journey from Berlin to Prague, it's a great place down there.
Yeah. I was reading a blog about that,
direct
actually.
train from Brno to Berlin now. It's lovely 7.5 hours if you're into that.
Ooh.
I hear Brno's the hot new spot for digital nomads. People who...
Jeez. Oh no. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you guys know, but the Berlin train to Prague is like infamous for just everyone getting horrifyingly blackout drunk on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really well.
Because the
No, I'm not aware because I never remember the trip.
Have you taken that trip, Berlin to Prague?
I hope to soon,
Okay,
but
all right.
Corona numbers aren't looking great anywhere. So, but I guess we're gonna actually have like a discussion of the Czech Republic, which I think, apart from once upon a time talking about Peter Kellner and
Rest in peace to a legend.
oh yeah, going out the way they all go out, which is in the death machine commonly known as a helicopter. I don't know why they keep doing it. It's really
It's like a Viking funeral for modern day billionaires.
they send your carcass off in a helicopter and then blow it up midway. But yeah, we haven't talked about the Czech Republic too much, and I'm very interested in using the recent election as a bit of an excuse to talk about what's happening there, who the main players are. Supposedly, if you believe a lot of the press, the end of an era. And by an era, I mean a presidency that's been here since 2017, which seems like a very loose definition of an era, but sure. So I'm just going to very briefly run through the kind of like results of the election, and then we can get into the bit of the weeds here. So ANO, which we'll talk about who they are, got the most seats by one, but actually got less votes than Spolu. I'm just powering through this. Who got the most votes? Spolu is kind of like this conservative bloc. ANO is the party and product of Babiš, who we will examine in a minute.
Czech billionaire who's sometimes compared to Trump, although maybe that's not a very clear comparison. But
we'll get to that. That's a good discussion to have, I think.
Yeah, like a generally, or considered perhaps at least by something like Politico EU to be a right populist force a la Trump, and see the list in 2016,
it's
2017.
Good that Politico EU has an opinion, and I bet they are the most credible source on this.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I trust them with my life.
Good, because they're probably in control of it now. But let's see now. So we're Spolu has agreed to work with the parties and the Pirates and Mayors pre-coalition PAS, who have 108 seats out of 200, meaning that Peter Fiala is the new prime minister, more or less, barring some formalities. Zeman, the president, who's meant to be, sorting this shit out, is sick. So that's a problem, kind of. And one of the big things that happened this election is CSSD and KSCM, the kind of Social Democrats and Communist Party, like the two vaguely left sources within the parliament, are not in the parliament anymore for the first time since the creation of modern Czech Republic.
Yeah, and even on another level, I forget if you said the exact numbers, but 108 seats for the two electoral alliances, the lion's share of that is the conservative Spolu, and then the Pirates and Mayors got like maybe a third to their 2/3 of that 108.
Yes.
So even that is like a small part. Like, I guess considered relatively center progressive. Again, I'll let you two weigh in.
We'll get to the Pirates because I find them kind of fascinating as like basically the only surviving pirate party from the pirate movement.
But even them are just like the small, like on top of the
they didn't do well.
CSSD and KSCM not getting into parliament.
Yeah, the Pirate Party is a saga in and of itself.
Before we get into before we actually get into talking about any of these parties, any of these forces, is there any kind of like big takeaways you'd want to give to our listeners about this election? Do you think it's important, or is it just an excuse to talk about the Czech Republic? I'm happy with either.
I don't think we're representative in this because we don't think it's all that important because it was just
pre-decided.
Yeah, it cemented all of the things that we knew were going to happen. So in that sense, we're not too sad about it.
We're historical materialists. We already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was like written in stone. I mean, way back in 2011, I knew that this was going on when I was a 12-year-old kid and I was playing with Bionicles. But yeah, as Andres said, this was already sort of a thing that was going to happen. What I would like to sort of weigh in on is, as you say, it's an end of an era, that this election means an end of an era. I would say it's a completely different thing. It's a continuation of an era that was long ago, and that basically has given rise to
Babiš,
to the billionaire Trump-like prime minister that we've had up until now, and that is just these elections have ended in a continuation.
It's a return to normalcy, but the normalcy is fucking terrible, and we hate it so much.
That's the thing they don't tell you about the normalcy.
Yeah, right.
It's a return to unbridled privatization, to a total mask of the state means nothing, you will get nothing, and
You will die of COVID, by the way, which is a new thing, right, for the right person.
That's relatively new. Some things have changed.
Yes.
For the better, because since we have COVID now, the right-wing government doesn't really need to spend that much of time thinking about pensions reforms, because the pensioners will just die out. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting though, because I was reading some statistics that the pensioners are 50% of those who vote. That's ridiculously high.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
These elections, by the way, could also be viewed as a sort of a generational uprising.
Yeah, sure.
And a generational uprising against young people. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Gen X is in power fully.
Yeah. Gen X and the boomers, the wealthy ones.
The only thing that I implore the listeners to do is to just go to the Czech Legislative 2021 election page, Wikipedia, and look at the preliminary results graph, because supposedly 4 different parties are being represented here, but
By the same fucking color.
they're all it's all varying shades of blue.
Telling in a way. There's a little bit
very
of
telling.
Oh, it is, yeah.
All right, so I guess we're gonna start. We're gonna do this in a little bit of past and the past and the future, but how also the past is the future and also the present. It's great fun. But let's talk about Babiš. We've mentioned him a little bit in his party Anno. He's kind of he is kind of important in terms of electorally. He's the first not ODS CSSD prime minister, basically ever, since the creation of modern Czech Republic. For anyone who doesn't know, ODS CSSD are basically what was the conventional 2 parties. Every country's got them. The default parties. Yeah. So there was an upset in that way. He's a billionaire, if I'm not mistaken. Made his money through, drum roll please, privatization of state resources. Tale as old as time. Sole owner of Agrofert, which I'm guessing by the title is agricultural industries.
Not only, you say correctly, industries, because he has managed to, essentially monopolize whole supply chains.
Yeah.
Vertical integration. So everything from producing fucking fertilizers, that's the first part, to making the fucking bread that's made out of the grain that's grown with the fertilizers.
Oh, okay, good that
maximum monopoly and maximum profits.
Good thing you said made from the grains that grow out of the fertilizer. I was scared of where that sentence was going. But it's not his first entry into politics. He was in 2013 CSSD government finance minister. We'll probably have to talk about why he was working with the CSSD and what that did to them. Yeah. But one little spicy little piece of information that I encountered while researching him, and I'd love to get your opinion on, was supposedly an informant for the. Okay, so let's do this right. Allegedly, an informant for the STB, the I guess you'd call that the military intelligence of Czechoslovakia.
The secret police.
Secret police, yeah,
like the KGB.
The secret police, the Stasi.
Okay. What's the verdict on that? What do people think? Who's weaponizing that against him? Is anyone?
Everyone, yeah, everyone is because this fits into a broader discussion of how this country basically runs on perpetual Cold War. Like we are the most McCarthyist country in the world, I would say, because we see communists everywhere, and it's really is kind of bordering on paranoia when it comes to like liberals and conservatives as well. So everyone is using that against him. The fact here is that he has changed his position on that. He claimed previously that he was in economic STB, so they were doing like economic crimes. Then he said he wasn't in STB. Then, because Babiš is from Slovakia originally, so it's being handled in the courts in Slovakia where the lists are being kept, and the Constitutional Court of Slovakia ruled that it has to return. So we're still waiting on that verdict. But everyone is you see just when there are protests against him, and it's like we don't want like an STB agent in. Almost every single banner mentions that he was in the STB. Yeah.
The real question is who cares about it? Because judging from the election results,
not many.
Not many people do. Yeah. Not many people do, and it doesn't seem to be a disqualifying trait.
Yeah. Because if it was a disqualifying trait, we just wouldn't have politicians at this point. Who give? I mean,
yeah, we would have exactly zero politicians at this point, because to a certain extent, heavy cooperation with the previous. If a politician is old enough to have cooperated with it, they have. Yeah. And it could be said absolutely without a doubt that the country is being run by the same clique that was in so-called.
How would you translate it?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Prognostic institution, something like that.
The Prognostic Institute, basically an astrology for planned economy. It's an astrology for planned economy. So these astro-hoes, way back from the 80s, are still running the country now.
Yeah, and one of them has been dying for the last 2 years, and he's the president.
Yeah, but many of them are right-wingers, staunch fucking neoliberals of the Reagan type who have started the whole privatization shtick and have pushed the country so much to the right that you wouldn't believe. All from the same freaking institute
it's
of
like
communist thought.
It's like the worst Fallout game.
All right, that's the episode title. But so there's something that I'm actually kind of very interested about with Babiš, and we've kind of alluded to, we're possibly talking a bit off mic about this, is the international perception of Babiš. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of comparisons drawn to various other figures, and it's classic English press of just like, he's like this politician in your country, so you can understand a little quicker, a little better. But he's been compared to Trump, as we alluded to. He also had a rally during the election period in, forgive me here, Ústí, with Orbán. And I always, maybe I'm wrong about this, but they always struck me as like slightly different figures, Orbán and Babiš. So like, what do you guys think? Like, how well does he compare to Trump, other international figures? What are the differences? What are the similarities?
So if it's difficult to say that politically, I don't think there's any equivalent for Babiš. Babiš is a centrist populist, right? And that's a term we don't usually hear. But Babiš, for some weird reason, he just wants to belong into that group of people. When Trump came up with his red hats, Babiš came up with the same red hats. They didn't say MAGA, they say strong Czechia. He's hanging out with Orbán. But at the same time, Babiš loves Macron, right? And he loved Macron even before Macron went full, I'm basically Marie Le Pen, so you don't have to vote for Marie Le Pen. And it's weird because, and this is something that we'll probably get into further, but Babiš every time he's been in government, he's ruled with Chair SSD, which is the Social Democrats, and he has ruled like the Social Democrats. So Babiš, his government and the previous government in which he was, they were basically ruling like a shitty neoliberal Western European social democratic party, like I don't know, the Social Democrats of Wallonia or some bullshit, you know. But he has the aesthetics and the vibe of like he wants to be seen next to these people. He wants to be perceived as one of them, but he doesn't rule like one of them.
He looks like a loony uncle.
Yeah, sure.
He looks like a loony uncle. He really does not look like the strongman type to pull up his sleeves of his shirt and go beat up some immigrants, which just like for the record, he isn't. It's also important to note what these other politicians that he gets compared to. So you've mentioned Trump. I'm not sure they've compared him to Bojo, but like I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Only British press does that because it's just like, hey, you know him.
Because of the British press.
Hey, it's the guy.
It's the guy.
Hey, it's the guy. You know.
So So these guys have like Trump ran on a radical and aggressive agenda.
Sure.
He had to pick a scapegoat. The only thing that Babiš ran against was the current political establishment. So he ran against the political establishment, which was right-wing. Yeah, it was right-wing to an extent. It was back in the times, he ran for the first time back in the times when the Republic was still reeling from the fallout of the economic depression in 2008.
Right.
And he absolutely correctly used the fight against corruption, the fight against just like right-wing, let's like just tighten our belts.
Clientelism
rhetoric.
as well.
Clientelism.
Which is funny coming from a billionaire oligarch.
Sure.
And it's extremely funny coming from a billionaire oligarch, but he got the people to think that, he's a rich person. He already has money, so he won't be stealing it away from us. Yeah. This is probably specific for Eastern Europe. Like, back in the West, you guys know that this isn't the case, but this is probably specific for Eastern Europe. Like, we don't know how rich people work here. We don't know how their heads work.
Because they're new. They're still new.
They're still fairly new, yeah.
We got capitalism like 30 years ago. Bear with us.
But that's exactly it.
Yeah.
We're still kind of,
Oh, we've talked about it. We've talked about it many times of on how the Baltics just I started a pizza restaurant and now I'm building like a blondes only pizza island. That seems like so this is what rich people do. They're just feeling it out, and at the same time, I also feel like they're just going for the purest form of it. At the same time, like it's just like there's no dress up, there's no because the whole so rich he doesn't need to be corrupt thing has that was also kind of like the perception of Trump. Like I think anyone who looks at Trump's businesses knows that he's probably not as rich as he lets on to be, but his support definitely thought he was. And they were all in for the drain the swamp thing, even though there was just like a million records of him being like, I just had slave labor build some New York real estate after I told them I would pay them and never did or whatever. Like it was, it's I don't know. One of our theses of the show is that one of the things I'm always afraid of doing when talking about anything that you could call capital E Eastern Europe is just pretending it's desperately unique from the rest of the world when it's just no, they're just kind of doing what we did, but maybe a bit faster and a bit newer at it. But it's as fucked up here. Don't get it wrong.
One thing I want to say is that just to give an example for what we're talking about, there was a bank here that started to publish a magazine. It's a bank, one of those banks for only rich people. And they were trying, basically the aim of their magazine was to educate our bourgeoisie and our upper middle class to act like bourgeoisie and upper middle class. Maybe you guys should stop wearing socks and sandals because you're rich, but you don't have any of the fucking class signifiers of the rich people in the West.
It's like manners, fork on the left, stick your pinky out.
No, they released upmarket WikiHow, and I appreciate that. Just the terrifying Fiverr drawings of how to act at the yacht party.
Yacht party in former Yugoslavia. Should be noted. For us, it's in the former Yugoslavia.
Well, but what my impression, at least what you describe, whether like politics aside, at least with the red hat or whatever, it seems like there's something to tap into, whether if someone's trying to create a new political label or brand, even if the politics are in many ways a continuation, there's something to tap into there that is being alluded to. And the only reason I ask that is because it seems like the downside is like this mass, I don't know the right term, a mass like protest, like from a certain kind of maybe like, I don't know, upper middle class or middle class. I don't know. You can describe it better, but I'm aware that there is like the, I want to say million points of light, million moments for democracy protest against Babiš. And these seem to be like triggered more by Babiš himself. Like this seems to be a new thing or a new, like in the same way that Trump was like, oh no, now this is really like beyond the pale. We have to do something about this. Was Babiš a similar trigger in 2017?
The reaction is really severe, and it's that. Yeah, that's exactly a great point to discuss. Take it away.
Can you? I don't know if you'll indulge me. I'll try my like historical bullshit here. I'm not a historian, by the way. I just want to clarify.
He's just a nerd. Don't worry, guys.
I'm just a nerd.
You're amongst friends.
When capitalism was introduced into this country, when we was still Czechoslovakia. Both of the parts of the country, Czech and Slovak, came up with different like meta-narratives of how to sell capitalism to the folks at home, right? So Slovakia went with like a nationalist vibe. So that's why they split up. That's why we split up. It was a peaceful split up, but still it was a split up, which was to the detriment of many families who were spread across the two countries, my included, by the way. But here in the Czech Republic, the fight against communism was kind of, for lack of a better word, academic, right? So when our first post-communist president came, Václav Havel, he was a philosopher, he was a playwright, he was a poet. I mean, it was the shittiest literature you've ever read, but it was still he was still in that kind of group. And the second president after him, who was the minister for finance and then the prime minister of the country, which was Václav Klaus, he came with this very academic. He also founded ODS. He came with this very academic kind of take on politics. He's a fan of Mises, right? All these bullshit other. Yeah. They were both, and all of that, the new sort of emerging regime put a very sophisticated face on the entire thing. And I think Babiš's main transgression against the system was just coming and saying, well, this is bullshit, right? He said, this doesn't work. And the liberals are still reeling from the shock. How dare you? How dare you just touch the very founding principle of our country? The founding principle of our country, without, well, maybe with a bit of a hyperbole, is Fukuyamism, right? There is no alternative. And when Babiš came in and said, well, we're going to do things a little bit differently, and he started doing all of the things that the other oligarchs are doing, but out in the open, it was a shock to the system because it went against that meta-narrative of the country.
That's Jeez, okay, sorry, that's really good. I'm still just like dealing internally with the founding principle of like a nation being Fukuyamism. You ever play a mod of Hearts of Iron 4 and you're just clicking around the different countries and you're like, what the fuck's happening in this one?
Yeah, oh no, ideology. Oh, it's Fukuyama.
Yeah, the graph representing the different political ideologies is a color you haven't seen before, and you're just like, oh no.
Should be noted that the country that was founded back in 93. So we're not talking about a nation. We're not talking about anything.
I'm older than your country.
Historical significance. Basically, only the times when your rich dads got rich.
Yeah. That is interesting, and I would actually love to have you guys back on to actually talk about that period of the early 90s in the Czech Republic as well, because I genuinely, I knew this in the back of my head, but I genuinely forgot there was actually a brief period of capitalist Czechoslovakia. I think in everyone's head, the fall of communism and the split basically happened at the same time, when actually there was just that like 3-4 year period of The Federal Republic of Czechoslovakia or something like that.
Exactly.
Everyone blacked out, time dilated. It's like, oh, I guess.
I wake up next morning, there's 2 countries.
Yeah. When we were bombing Serbia.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was flashier things going on.
Kind of Shout out to our ex-Yugoslav listeners.
Yeah, there's a didn't have as much pizzazz as Bosnian genocide, I guess.
That's a downer.
Yeah, it is. Moving on swiftly. So then we have the actual presidencies, like the actual premiership, I should say, of Babiš, like his policies. You've kind of said he basically ran as a CSSD kind of candidate, and they're basically your Tina post 80s kind of like social democrats, Blairite, very like have given in to this like whole there is no alternative neoliberalism, left in name only or something like that kind of positions. But I am curious because he has like, as far as I can read of like the analysis I've read in like New Left Review and stuff like that of his presidency, he's kind of like effectively weaponized the pensioners into like a massive voting bloc.
My man gave them so much fucking money. Like the pensions have never been higher. They were like one time off bonuses. Just this motherfucker is blasting pensioners with money.
That's funny, and that is a bit true, but it still should not be left unsaid that there is a massive problem with just massive poverty among pensioners.
Yes, it's a good thing, by the way. I mean, they
should be getting money. Yeah. But this man has also, through the weaponization of the pensioners into a solid voting bloc for him, he has also managed to polarize this in a generational way. In a way that whenever you are voting for either ANO or the left, you are giving up your future. As if the rising state deficit, because the fucking pensioners got 10 euros more to their pensions this month, would in any way jeopardize your fucking future when
as if
the planet is on fire.
Real money, by the way. This is something that's not being said enough. This is bullshit. This is numbers moving in an Excel sheet.
As if it was real money. Yeah, we are very strong non-believers in money.
Yeah, we are only commodity production.
It's so interesting because it's always like, I feel like it's the same, particularly with, for lack of a better term, like the kind of like Central Europe thing, whenever you see like Western press trying to tackle this of just like, you see it more with Hungary because Hungary just like is, I guess for whatever reason, far more captivating to international press, what's happening there of just like, British and American press not being able to really grapple with, Orban being just like openly homophobic, anti-Semitic, like just anti-immigrant, like terrible person. But at the same time, like without him, there's just all these rural towns in Hungary that would have just been like fucking demolished. Like at this point would just be complete ghost towns because he's actually like done the good thing and propped them up with state industry.
If I can say something to this, because we hear a lot from like comrades in Poland who say, well, yes, PiS is helping like building streets and helping families. At the same time, they're taking away rights from gay people, and all these other awful fucking things that they're doing. But in this country, the problem with liberals is that poor people are being helped. And we don't want to defend Babiš in any way because he's obviously like a huge fucking piece of shit and he represents everything that we hate about this country. But at the same time, people are being materially helped and nothing is being taken away. Like Babiš would never, ever, I don't think he would dare to touch gay rights. There's no talk. He doesn't even, I don't think he knows that trans people exist, which is good for us because this motherfucker would not be able to handle it.
But like, that is interesting because I think that always puts like opposition to these kind of politicians into like these weird positions as well. Yeah,
very idealist positions. Like it's somehow I don't want to get too into it, but it feels like when you're talking to a liberal, it's the opposition completely vibe. Is just, I don't like his vibe. I don't like his tone. He's crude. He's crass. His Czech is not even that good. It's like, yeah, okay, sure.
Oh God, I I'm very interested to hear if there's like a Slovak, like anti-Slovak angle to the Babiš.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
So for the official statement of the podcast Squatemala is that we are staunchly pro reunification of Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
And we think that having a prime minister be Slovak is very based and POC inclusive. However, he doesn't speak Slovak. He speaks this sort of a jumbled up version of Czech and Slovak. It's really not intuitive to start switching between these languages. They're very similar.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to describe it to the listeners, but English and Dutch. No, not English and Dutch.
There's no comparison.
Whatever.
They are.
There's no comparison.
Two things.
Maybe the Yugoslavs would get it, but otherwise there's no comparison. And just there is a strong anti-Slovak angle to this.
Interesting. You could do Dutch and German. Like there's mutual
somehow.
intelligibility.
Kind of, yeah.
Swedish and Norwegian, maybe.
There's
Swedish and Norwegian.
an underrated something that I've not been able to appreciate in my language skills is that, like, again, precisely this like liberal anti-populist kind of freak out. I love the language politics of it, because in the Canadian elections, one of the things about the Conservative was that he was bad at French, and it's like, we need someone who's like speaks like Justin Trudeau impeccable French, and it's like no one fucking can. I mean, that aside, I just underapprecited. I like that development.
But it's like, it was like, oh man, do you know Hitler spoke 4 languages? Like, what does that matter?
The other thing I wanted to just throw out there, again, I'm no expert on Czechoslovakia, but it sounds like you could lean into maybe like we got the Velvet divorce and you're protesting that. So have you considered Velvet fathers' rights? that could be like your ideology, because you want to.
Sure.
just throwing that out there.
Very briefly in 1992 that we would become a confederation instead of a federation. So I suppose that would allow us to be like, that's an open relationship, right?
That's an open marriage, yeah.
Maybe we'll let Poland join in. Maybe we won't.
Yeah, me and
bit of Ukraine.
Me and Slovakia saw you from across the bar, and we're really digging your vibe. Oh god! All right, so there's some scandals with Babiš and his premiership that I actually just kind of want to talk about, because some of them are bullshit, some of them are stupid, whatever, normal like rich guy politician shit. We've talked about it on the podcast before. Pandora Papers, nothing. That's whatever. Numerous conflicts of interest in EU funding scandals, those related to his stakeholdings in media companies and the Czech agricultural sector. I mean, I guess this is interesting. Media control seems to be a classic tactic of a lot of these kind of politicians.
Yeah.
What's the situation like with Babiš and media?
He owns the 2 biggest newspapers, I think. He owns some radio stations.
He owns a bunch of shit.
Yeah, regional. He owns the biggest music station, so that's one thing to think about.
All right.
It's very transparent the way he controls this media. Whenever something like objectively big is going on, I mean, not like the libs freaking out, but I don't know.
COVID.
COVID. Rulings of fucking European institutions and so on. His newspapers are just, the front pages are filled with drivel, as you would expect. Or just like propaganda against the right-wing opposition parties. But yeah, expectedly he owns a lot of the media and is able to at least partially control the narrative on this.
Fair enough. Can
I say something?
Go for it. Yeah.
Quickly. The biggest scandal. It's something called Stork's Nest. You can, I don't know if you can find it under this name, but it's a farm that he built. It's basically like a recreational facility.
I just say that's like a CIA ass title.
It's the ugliest fucking building in the world.
Right.
And he cheated his European subsidies by basically spinning it off in a separate company, having his children basically be like figureheads for his like influence, and thus he was able to reach like subsidies for small businesses.
Even though
he's a fucking oligarch.
Fortune is an oligarch fortune, and he's the biggest of the businesses.
And that's the biggest scandal, Stork's Nest. It's incredible.
But however, it should be noted that biggest scandal is really quite fucking pale. It's a couple tens of millions of euros. It's couple tens of millions of euros. That's fucking tame compared to the shit that he was doing with COVID, and it's fucking tame compared to the privatizations of hospitals and entire industry sectors. Again, libs focusing on the wrongest point, but on the right man.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it from here, but
it's literally a stork's nest.
Literally a stork's nest.
Yeah, and it's got some fucking overpriced restaurant in it, and people go there to do this agro-tourism shit. I don't know. They just show them some goats, and the people are like, "Whoa, let me give you money."
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'd do that.
We're doing a Salt Bay has a residency there, maybe.
No, but okay, for the listeners at home, if you can't find it on your phones for whatever reason, imagine the Disney Epcot Center made of twigs. It's basically what you got. All right, sick. But there is one Babish scandal that I kind of want to talk about.
Hell yes.
As you should, bestie. As you should.
All right, so I'm just going to read this verbatim from the New Left Review article. Babish was also alleged to have kidnapped his own son in 2018, moving him across various locations in Ukraine and Russia in order to block his testimony in an anti-corruption probe investigating his father, who again is Babish, the former prime minister. What?
That's the stork's nest. That's because he has like 5 children, I don't know, but Andrei Babiš Jr., the guy who was taken into Crimea, was a figurehead in the Stork's Nest scandal. So he basically Babiš Jr. alleges that his father basically had him diagnosed with schizophrenia by the head of the National Institute for Mental Health, Dita Protopopova. She has a Russian husband, and then her Russian husband took him to Crimea, where he found him a girlfriend, apparently, and then Babiš Jr. ran away with his mother to Switzerland.
It's been established on the show that billionaire fathers show love in a complicated way, but
we were talking about dads previously, and this is
a prime dad moment.
This is prime dad. Oh fuck yes. And then. Also, we have a note here in the Google Notes from one of you here about supposedly his role in this election.
Oh my god! Jesus fucking Christ!
So we've had a bit of a turning of the tables here, folks. So, who was previously a legitimately mentally ill man in a very bad situation, whose father had abused him and used him for his gains? He turned out to actually be perfectly sane in his right mind and has now woken up to be a liberal champion of the masses against his father's tyrannical reign.
He's gone woke, folks.
Ooh, okay.
I'm not fucking exaggerating.
Yeah,
I am not.
The fucking libs are saying, he abused his mentally ill son, and they're now doing the same thing. So we have like a lib documentary maker called Vít Klusák, and this motherfucker paraded Babiš Jr. in front of a camera and took him to that meeting where Babiš was in Ústí with Orbán, took him there and let him scream at he's like, Dad, why did you hide me away? It's the most depressing shit I've ever seen.
It's soap opera bullshit. It is soap opera bullshit. Since then, Babiš Jr. has been vocal in his opposition to his father, and he has been used by some right-wing politicians and figureheads for their own promotion. Not for their parties, but specifically anti-Babiš, which was fairly clear in this election.
Right, yeah.
So this was...
Yikes.
Yeah, it was a yikes moment.
Jesus Christ.
Did they also get him a girlfriend? Did the liberals offer a Crimean girlfriend?
We're talking Andrei Babiš Jr. And we're talking about his father sort of using him for his own gain. Don't think that he's a teenager. He's like a grown-ass, very sad-looking middle-aged man.
He should be able to get his own girlfriend, is what we're saying.
Yeah, or questionable.
Right. In that case, let's unless there's any final words on Babiš, I think we can move on to a bit more of the past of Czech politics, which is the nominal left in the Czech party political scene, which is the CSSD, your center-left, quote-unquote, party. And
the Social Democrats, yeah.
Yes. And
My final sorry.
And also, the KSCM, the Communist Party of, I believe, Bohemia Moravia, is how that's usually translated?
Based, excluding Silesia, notice, with our ethnicity, a little ethnicity mini presentation, excluding Silesia. I don't know why, but they're just vibing with it.
There's no vote. There's just like no voters out there for them. They're just like, fuck it. Yeah, so I guess the one of the big takeaways, as I said earlier, is these two parties are no longer in the Czech parliament for the first time since the creation of the country. Most press I'm seeing on these two parties internationally are saying this is because they worked with Babiš, and the name of the game this election was to be anti-Babiš.
Yeah, that would be fair. I think partially.
Okay.
So they got punished for working with Babiš, but in a different way, I would say, because they got punished by Babiš just taking away their voters. And the people who, for example, supported ČSSD, the Social Democrats, they were either for Babiš, so they voted for Babiš, or they were against Babiš, so they didn't vote for ČSSD anymore, because they were, libs who were kind of, let's say, well, as we said, insulted by Babiš, by his crudeness, by his transgressions, all that.
Right.
And KSČM is complicated because KSČM is a nominally communist party, but they, I think it's a political science term, suck dick. They are shit. I mean, they horrible. Some of them are, some people are nice. Some of them, they have individual members, but like when you look at like an anti-immigration party from some fucking like Georgia, I wouldn't see much of a difference between those two elements.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
They're the not bull party.
Yeah.
One could say they're the not bull party, very soft on the bull parts.
Right.
Capital N, small b.
That is the secret. They're all the communist parties that Americans are like, you can vote for communists over there. They're all Nazbuls. Sorry. If the post left wasn't too busy posting hello friends, they'd get hyped about the 4% vote of a small communist party.
Yeah. There's just kind of like one thing. There's one little piece of information I found out about the Social Democrats that I found kind of interesting was as New Left Review describes it as this kind of like, this would have been Jacobin or something, kind of described that there were some people within the party that actually kind of knew this train wreck was coming and tried to save the party in some way. There is one example here of Jana Malochova.
Basically.
Okay. She's she, I believe, is worked up with a former Green Party member and did an event that I actually think is kind of cool, and I'm kind of curious as to why more parties aren't doing this in the world of just like she went to a factory to personally check potential breaches of working conditions and was like broadcasting this on social media. Seems kind of cool. But then the Green Party politician she was working with described his politics as leftist politics without liberalism, which is...
what should be noted, he's a former Green Party politician.
Oh, okay.
He's a former Green Party politician. And this is important because the Green Party in the Czech Republic is still very much neoliberal. And
it's very much trying to be like the German Greens, which is
I would say a bit more right.
You should pick a better idol, in my opinion.
And this guy, he was the most sort of out in the open and most visible face of that party. But after an electoral defeat, he left the party and went to. So yeah, another fucking theater in the politics of another fucking bad spiel in the theater that is Czech politics. A disgraced politician says, "Fuck politics. I'm moving away to a castle."
Yes.
Oh.
This former Green politician, Matěj Stropnický, he bought a castle.
Yes.
He bought it in a way that so his mom owned a flat in Prague. She sold it away.
That's castle money?
And that's enough money to buy a castle. And he and his boyfriend are just fixing the castle up now.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
The castle was in a really bad state.
It was
okay.
A chateau. The chateau is in a really bad state.
All right.
But now they're fixing it up. They're making it into a legitimate cultural institution out in the countryside of Bohemia, with theater plays being done there very regularly, tours and so on. And yeah, so he's been doing that for a couple of years, and this year he just decided, fuck it, let's just be a nutball and join the Social Democrat, and run on their list for the parliament. Unsuccessfully, it has to be said that he ran in an unsuccessful way with Jana Malachova. They were the cool duo.
They call themselves the cool duo.
You can't call yourselves that.
And they ran in Prague, the neoliberal bastion.
Right.
Of the fucking country. They failed. They didn't fail that miserably. I have to say that I'm a bit sad that they did fail, because that a classical new leftist would have more than just a few problems with them, would have more than just a few beefs with them. But it would trigger so much of the fucking right-wingers and libs in the parliament that it would be worth it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right, fair enough. But yeah, that's interesting. I oh my god, just so much going on in this country.
There is a lot.
I'm loving this.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. Genuinely. All right, so okay, sorry, I'm still recovering from selling an apartment to buy a castle.
That's degrowth,
That's
man.
the real estate prices in Eastern Europe, folks.
Oh my fucking god. The housing crisis in this country is insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds it. Fucking hell. All right, so then I guess I'm kind of curious about, before we to kind of wrap up the like nominal left, about the supposed Communist Party. Not good. They had like a brief moment of being like a protest party.
Probably maybe back in the 90s.
I think this relates more to the pensioners and to the weaponizing of the pensioners that Babiš did, that we've touched on. So the Communist Party, the unreformed Communist Party, used to be the default vote of the pensioners.
Sure.
Because nobody else raised their concerns. They honestly just see how the world has gone to shit. Yeah, they have their idealized versions of their youth when the communists were in power. But now they just have pensions. The pensions are low and nobody wants to give them more. So who do they vote for? They vote for the communists. Babiš has been able to mobilize them better than the communists did. And that is likely the reason why, all the votes got sucked out.
And also, I just want to say that the Communist Party is very much in that sort of in that meta-narrative of perpetual Cold War, because the Communist Party in the Czech Republic is pro-Russian, but not pro-Soviet Union, pro-Russia today, right? Which is like, we love Putin and we, which is insane to me. First of all, it doesn't matter, because Russia, I don't care about Russia.
Pensioners do.
Yeah, they're trying to run. We should be focused more on Russia. Do you realize it's not the same country anymore, right?
Yeah, it's not a. That's always a very confusing one, all right, because like it does seem very old hat. It just seems like we're doing it because it's a familiar tactic. But like, yeah, they are treating modern Russia not even to get into the whole like it's a far more right wing country than it was previously, but like it's also not a pole of like the world that you could like hitch your wagon to, really. Like, if anything, the modern equivalent of the Soviet Union might be China, maybe, like, as somewhere you could be like, they treat it as if it's like a choice between USA and Russia, when Russia's really not offering anything that the Soviet Union could have.
Yeah, I think here in this country it's a choice between Brussels and Russia, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like Oh, it's either the EU or we're going to go into Russian EU ? Maybe in the future.
Oh, the EAU. God damn it. Is anyone fucking talking about that anymore? That just seems like they've invented an office in Moscow for your like fattest fail sons to have like a pencil job. I'm sorry, but it's like that whole thing fell apart when like Ukraine was like, we don't want to be a part of it. So whoops. We can enter into a glorious union with Belarus and Armenia. So
as they have.
Good food. But all right, so let's talk a little bit about the future, and this is also a good opportunity to actually talk about like some of the problems Czech Republic is actually facing, and how well these new parties are going to be able to handle it.
Amazingly well.
Oh, so well. First, because it sounds just far more tragic and hilarious, I'd like to talk about the Pirate Party.
Oh yeah.
Wer
hat uns verraten? Die Piraten.
We've talked about the Pirate Party of the Czech Republic kind of glibly before on this podcast as being led by a man who looks like one of the ghost twins from the second Matrix.
Hell yeah.
Which I've always been kind of just like obsessed with, because I don't know how many listeners are familiar with like the Pirate Party movement that swept Europe, starting in Sweden, I believe, in like late 2000s, and like it ended pretty unceremoniously in Germany when the head of the Berlin Pirate Party like murdered someone. And was caught because on his way to get rid of the body, he like stopped into a shop to get a drink, and that was on CCTV.
Am I also wrong in remembering that there was also some rape allegation or some sexual assault allegation?
I believe yes. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, you do know.
Look it up.
You're gonna look that up.
The German pirates are wild.
Yes, and like not to say that like any other pirate party, not talking with the Czech one, just were any better. The politics was kind of like confused. It was it's unsurprising. Like I know of people who are post pirate party now, and it verges from like right wing libertarian crypto bro all the way to like genuinely good anarchists, and it's like how were you ever in the same umbrella is kind of strange. The kind of like they tried a little bit to be the Greens, but instead of your single issue being the environment, it was privacy and freedom online. So ultimately, retrospectively, a doomed movement. But what is that? The golden city on the hill. It's the Czech Republic, and they're still relevant pirate party. Let's just say that. What can?
They are.
Yeah, and also not to be glib, like possibly being viewed both internationally, maybe by some people within the Czech Republic, as like the most left-wing party you have in the parliament now. How do you feel about that assessment?
So this depends so much on the people that you're talking about. And if you're talking about the Pirate Party that was in the parliament previously, in the former parliament of the Czech Republic, that's the 22 elected Pirate Party members. If you're talking about the 4 elected Pirate Party members now in the parliament, in the new one, or if you're talking about the 3 members of the European Parliament elected for the Czech Pirate Party, that's 3/4 of the whole pirates of the European Parliament. Those are all wildly different things. So if you're talking about the Euro parliamentarians, let's go into these first. Then I would like definitely say kinda yes.
Right.
Because these people, these MEPs, are sitting in the Greens EFA fraction of the European Parliament.
Yeah.
They're collaborating fairly tightly with the European Green Party. However, they have their own European Pirate Party, where the Czechs, along with the Germans, are playing a pivotal role. And they do hold up many of left-ish left-ish. That's
leftish.
The
German.
Leftish things.
Yeah.
For the Czech context, not in the European context.
Right.
In the European context, they are way more in the lib, or in the Euro Parliament context, they are way more in the liberal spectrum. But in the Czech context, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, those are the neo-Marxists. No, just kidding. Barely. However, the members of the parliament of the Czech Pirate Party, liberal is centrist at best.
Right.
Data-driven boys. Data-driven
means testing boys.
Means testing
boys. Is it boys only?
It's
one
boys
girl?
and a girl.
Yeah.
It's boys and a girl, as far as we know. Yeah. And like not much more than that.
But to your original question, if they're the most left party in parliament, maybe.
Might be true. Might also not be a good thing.
No.
Yeah, because other than them, that's a very bad thing. Because other than them, there's just fucking conservatives and Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
And of course, Babiš. Yeah, but other than them, a good thing to think about and to talk about would be how Babiš is behaving now.
Yeah.
After the electoral defeat, he is really, without a doubt, styling himself as a left-wing opposition.
He said explicitly to those 15% of people whose votes just fell through because of the entry clause, I'm going to be representing you. I'm going to be your voice in parliament. And he's already, with the energy crisis that we have going on now, if you have a bingo card for the emerging crisis in the Czech Republic, there's another scratch for you. He's already he's trying to start a criminal investigation into the owners of a bankrupt gas company. So he's really into that now.
Interesting. That's it's a kind of a dire situation, but one of the things that I also kind of wanted to talk about is that maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but the impression I always got of the Pirates is that maybe if you were a LGBT rights single issue kind of voter, they seem like your choice. Fair enough. Okay, so that's fair. But what seemed to have happened to them this election is very reminiscent of the German Greens, of they were attacked from a Red Scare kind of perspective. And when they pushed back on that, saying no, actually we're rightfully probably very centrist. We have all these liberal kind of economic positions. That kind of resulted in the conservative wing of people who might have voted for them not believing them, and then the liberal wing that might have voted for them finding them spineless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so.
Resulting in them only getting 4 seats, down 18 from their previous 18 out of 200 of their previous standing in the parliament. So not going well.
The thing to note is that they're in two coalitions. So they're
electoral coalition.
So they're in an electoral coalition with one other party, that is the Mayors and Independence Party,
which is the shittiest name for a party.
It is the shittiest.
It sounds like an American football team. I'm not going to be honest.
Yeah. You're not even mayors, right? You're MPs. What the fuck?
Yeah. So it's please, get back to your civics class and learn about the fucking country and how it works.
It also kind of sounds a little bit sad, though, of just we'd rather not be here. It's and now the new party of firefighters and astronauts.
Be sitting in a town hall right now.
Yeah. This kind of used to be their political platform. Is just do more things in the town halls and in the municipalities rather than the parliament. It's a bit of a filled out kind of thing. So now they're just these nice guys in suits. They're the nice, trustworthy guys in suits, and that's the shtick. Anyway, the coalition between the Pirates and the Mayors was supposed to be about a halfway deal. They were presenting themselves as equal partners, even though the Pirates had way more polling. Yeah. Way more polling and way more MPs than the Mayors had, and they also had way more money. They financed the campaign by 2/3.
Pirates, for example, supported ratifying the Istanbul Agreement, which we still haven't ratified, even though we signed it. And the Mayors basically went and said, oh no, you're not going to do that. So even though pirates had all the money, all the hype, they were treating the mayors as equals to the point where they took away this really big part of what I think should happen in this country.
Right. And
so they got fucked, folks.
For those listening at home, if I'm not mistaken, the Istanbul Agreement is spousal abuse is bad?
Against violence, which, by the way, the Bulgarian Constitutional Court found to be unconstitutional.
Bulgarian constitutional right to beat your woman. Jesus Christ.
It's a constitutional right.
I mean, like, I think they always joke about the Istanbul Agreement was that also Turkey pulled out of it, and they were just like, but we named it after you. Come on.
Go back to bed, honey.
God fucking damn it. I feel like we just shouldn't have made an agreement because that just, it seems like it was an excuse for countries to show themselves as being monsters.
This backfires tremendously.
Yeah. Oh God. So yeah, like the mayors are always they're interesting to me, and it's worth pointing out that you guys mentioned in some comments here that like there's now being a bit of pushback from the pirates towards the mayors.
Yes.
So what should be said is how the freaking mayors outplayed the pirates, or how it's possible that out of the 30 plus people that got elected for this coalition into the parliament, only 4 of them are pirates and the rest of them are the mayors.
Yeah.
So we have this gimmick. I don't know if, many listeners in many European countries have this as well. But when you're going out voting, when you vote for a candidates list, you can circle some people on the list, and they get a preferential vote.
And if they get, it's complicated, and by that I mean I don't understand it, but they can move up. They can move up,
right?
The sort of because the parties they set what the fuck is the word for it? They set they set them strictly, those numbers, but the voters can actually change that.
So I think that's called open list. For comparison, for people who are listening in Germany, we have kind of like closed list where like if you vote for example, Die Linke or the Greens, you don't get to decide
which candidate goes.
The second vote.
Yeah. They kind of like decide like, hey, this is Die Linke candidate number 1, number 2, number 3.
Yeah. We don't have this, and we have this circling of the candidate system, and it very easily abused or gamified, or how should I exploited? It's easily exploited.
Right.
It's usually most exploited in municipal elections. However, this was a major upset for the parliamentary
and basically
elections.
what the pirates are alleging is that not mayoral candidates, but the candidate for the party called mayors, who are not mayors, were posting on social media, and they were like, circle our candidates, which is very much against the coalition agreement that they have signed. So
well, shit. But at the end of the day, they have 33 seats, and the pirates have 4. So
yeah, exactly. And the pirates
they wanted it more.
They wanted it more. And the pirates are potentially entering a coalition which goes the most against their program, which goes the most against their. It's questionable to call their party as having any ideals,
beliefs,
as having
Sure.
any ideology or
sounds
beliefs,
like the Greens.
But if there's anything that like goes kind of against the grain of the pirate party, it's the coalition that they're getting into, and they are getting into it because
it's not Babish.
It's not Babish, and they intend to honor the coalition agreement, because that's what gentlemen do after they get totally cocked. But
also, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're also just like completely powerless as well, because the PAS, which is their coalition with the mayors, going into bed with Spolu, which we'll talk about in a second, is 108 seats out of 200. So majority is 101. If they pull out of that, nothing happens.
Matter. It's 104. It's still plenty of votes.
Still a majority.
The thing is that the pirates will be able to get like a disproportionately high number of ministerial seats. I think they will get 2 ministers.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that this government basically pulled 2 ministerial positions out of their ass. We now have a minister for the EU and minister for digitalization.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to give that to the pirates.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to. I know this is a loaded accusation, but when you say urban young voters, digitalization, and a faceplant at the end, it sounds like we're talking about volts. They sound kind of voltish to me, Kieran.
Yeah. I mean, but that's also just because volt is everything. Like they're so fucking. Yeah, they're so fucking vague links. They can be anything. But okay, so that gets us to the big leader of the future of the Czech Republic. ODS as a part of the Spolu coalition. This is the party of I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Václav Klaus, who sounds terrible.
Oh God!
And he's much worse.
And he's gotten worse. He's now.
I assumed he was dead.
Very much loves going to Germany and speaking at AFD events.
Oh, hello,
Yeah.
hello there.
He left ODS because they've gone too woke on him.
Finally, someone says it. I'm just.
Someone has the guts to take them down. This is your great, basically your shock doctrine politician of the Czech Republic. The guy who's just like the Czech people are pleading to him. You can't keep pointing at things and saying privatized, and he just points at something and says privatized.
I mean, the great man of history is theory is bullshit, but he is the great man. Right?
He is He is
the sole designer of our specific version of capitalism.
He's the reason why my life is shit and everyone else's.
Yep.
Everyone misunderstood the great man of history. It was about specifically one great man of history. This guy,
the greatest man you could even say.
So Jesus, he's created like the ODS. He creates it shortly after the Velvet Divorce, if I'm not mistaken. Described as a kind of like combination of Thatcherite conservatism and soft Euroscepticism, which has probably changed over the years, because I can't imagine are they advocating for any kind of like pushback or like leaving of the EU or anything like that?
They're against Euro, and they always say that shit like, oh, we love the EU, we just need to return it pre-Lisbon, which is what a lot of these like right-wing parties say. We just need to return to the economic part, not this woke ecology bullshit that the EU is
I don't want to be surrounded by all these people of color like Hungarians and the French.
The Hungarians.
I can't imagine the French guy who moves to the Czech Republic is a savory character, but like I'm very interested in just this. What is this new ODS? Are they different? What did they campaign on?
So, do you mind? So the new chairman of the ODS is Professor Petr Fiala. He founded here in Brno. He's a Brno patriot like us. He founded he basically founded the very real political science here in Brno. So if you want to study political science, as again the very real scientific thing called political science, he founded it. He founded he co-founded the Faculty of Social Sciences, and he still teaches here.
Oh.
And then he entered into the ODS to kind of return it to its academic high.
Yeah, the good image.
Boring nerds, basically.
Because the reason why they even wanted to return it to the fucking boring nerds phase is
corruption.
Yeah, they were viewed as fucking absolute gangsters who would shoot your mom on the street if that means they could privatize some other bullshit.
This is okay. This is a grand. This sounds like a grand theory of mine of like particularly 90s European politics, which is we are going to bore you to the death so that you don't look too closely at the horrible shit we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, because I cannot emphasize enough how like all of Brussels politics before the creation of the euro, and still actually a little bit to this day, is just like sacks of uncooked sausage meat in suits, just all giving each other handshakes, and then talking about like literally the scene from Futurama of like your 0.5% steel tax goes too far. Well, I think your 0.5% steel tax doesn't go far enough. Like that shit for like days, and then not realizing what they were doing to like I don't know Sarajevo or something. Like it was. It was a dark time, and it looks like the dark times are back.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm also kind of interested in these other parties of Spolu, particularly because I'm interested in hearing your guys' takes on what sounds like a pop music compilation CD, Top 09.
And many more.
Now that's what I call Czech politics.
That's what I call shitty politics.
Yeah, get them.
Top 09, also known as the bottom of the right-wing coalition.
Ooh, all right. Wordplay.
Top 09 is interesting because we, as much as sort of the ODS now is a return to the academic style of Klaus in the 90s. Top 09 is kind of a return to Havel, as I said, the shitty playwright, but in nothing else but just style. So they try to be like these like nice people, nice lads who give off these liberal, cool vibes. But their politics are pretty much ODS. They are... Well, ODS, I would say, is staunchly against gay marriage, for example. In the Czech Republic, we have civil unions or registered partnerships for gay people, but there's a big movement for same-sex marriage, which, of course, we fully support. And Top 09 is only partially against same-sex marriage because a lot of Top 09 is former CDU members, so Catholics, right?
Yeah.
Top 09 was born out of a union between liberals and conservatives. It was Kalousek who was the Minister for Finance during 2008 austerity, and it was Schwarzenberg who, just by that name, you can tell that he's an inbred aristocrat and also former member of the Green Party.
Right, yes, that's where you put them.
Twofer.
Yeah, so that's just, okay, terrible. They also seem to have elected the youngest prime minister in history.
No, member of parliament.
Oh, member of parliament. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
No, that's Schwarzenberg.
Just for the record, this is how the inbred.
Oh, hell yeah.
on the screen. Imagine literally a cartoon villain smoking a pipe and going, I think it is most ethical to do a genocide on the poor.
For everyone listening at home, I want you to imagine the father of the KFC's colonel who's disappointed in his son going into the chicken business.
He's a villain explaining his master plan at the end of the movie, but then it actually works. They don't stop it in time.
And I'm going to do this to the budget. Jesus. Okay. Excellent. So now I think this is a good opportunity to talk about what are actually the issues in the Czech Republic. All of this theater, bullshit, stupid. We spent like an hour and something talking about it, but what is actually happening? What are the problems? Is there any like little glimmers of hope? Okay, well, they were getting a lot of head shakes there.
Yeah, for starters, 40,000 people died of COVID-19. Like, 40,000. Likely a little bit more. And likely until this episode is aired, a couple of hundreds more because we have learned literally nothing.
For anyone listening abroad, like there's a massive spike again in COVID cases. Particularly, if I remember correctly, Romania is really badly hit at the moment.
All over Europe. Over Europe. The numbers are almost higher than from the previous waves, which have been dampened with non-pharmaceutical measures, that is lockdowns, which the states have now been way more reluctant to introduce. But it's a bit of a different topic. I don't know if any of you remember, but the Czech Republic was hit fairly hard in the last waves. And yeah, I mean, we're just bracing to see what this one may
what the new
introduce.
government does. The new government that 2 months before the election even were promising, no new lockdowns.
I still walk by the fucking street and I see no new lockdowns posters from them.
Yeah, that is interesting because that is like, not to distract too much from the Czech Republic, but that does seem to be kind of the policy of like a lot of Europe in general. Like it's largely going unsaid here in Germany, but they're like, what's very heavily implied in Germany is we're not going into a lockdown again. Whether that's a good idea or not, I'm not sure. But like, yeah.
Spoiler alert, unless you have a 95% vaccinated population, it is not a good idea and your healthcare system will collapse. That has been my epidemiological window of the day. Listen to the Christian Drosten podcast. If you're native German speakers. He has very good takes.
Oh, good. But you while chatting before recording this podcast, you were talking about situations hitting Czech Republic. You've kind of alluded to a housing crisis, which, as an Irish person, I can relate. So let's have the pissing contest. How fucked is your housing market?
You need to, 12-year annual salaries to buy a small flat. Basically, is now when you take the minimum wage, the average wage, you need 12 times
the average wage,
the average annual wage to buy a flat. So I think we are the worst in Europe, according to some statistics. I don't want to take away anything from you. You fought very hard for that. But,
I did nothing. I ran away.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I mean, it's a problem. Pretty much everywhere in Europe. What are these new? What are the mayors in Spolu planning to do about this situation?
Nothing.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, they are trying to take away sort of. Oh my fucking god! I don't want to even get to this, but Jesus fucking Christ! The solution is making like the sort of the administrative procedure for allowing for something to be built shorter.
Oh.
Oh my fucking god! I just remembered we have a new law regulating this, and they basically allow the new law basically allows to replace like a what the fuck is the word when you have basically you have like an institution that allows the building to be built after a procedure of ecological consultations, urban planning, all that. Well, now you can just sign a contract with a developer, which completely replaces this entire process.
Ooh.
And the public doesn't need to know about it because it's not public.
All right.
That's a solution, because just give the developers more and more headroom.
And just to be clear, the real estate developers have literally every fucking thing that they could want.
And they wrote the law, by the way.
They wrote the laws, and they don't build more. So the whole shtick of the right wing is to trying to deregulate and deregulate and deregulate. It's deregulated as fuck. The real estate developers can build whatever the fuck they want, but they're of course not building it because they want the prices to remain high. But the fucked up thing is they even admit it in the media. Like that's how much unmasked this shit is over here. They admit it in the media that if they built more, then maybe like the flats wouldn't get sold off the second that they offer them on the market.
One of the biggest real estate motherfuckers, billionaire Sekira in this country, just recently bought an Oxford professorship. The oldest professorship in Oxford was renamed the Sekira Professorship. I mean, these motherfuckers are insane. They already have everything.
In moral philosophy.
I'm starting to understand this nerd thing you keep talking about. This Hoffel. That's.
God damn it!
I just love like a Saudi or Qatari billionaire buys like a soccer team, and then they're like, no, a professorship in philosophy
in peace, or like the Qatari one would be in labor rights. That would be if we were to do full irony. God damn it. Yeah. So I'd like to thank the numerous homeless people that I have created in my new, in accepting my new moral philosophy professorship.
It was very utilitarian of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've named every one of the people tied to the tracks in day one of the presentation in moral philosophy. They're all named after displaced people.
It's
from my units.
My first class will be on the trolley problem, but there's only one track, and it's like if you do nothing, you'll get rich. Oh God damn it!
We haven't actually gotten to anything that's hopeful.
Is there anything that's hopeful?
Anything like the end of the tunnel? There's no light at the end.
Can
I
say something? I was in Berlin this September before the election, and I saw almost every single party had the word climate on their posters.
Yeah.
Right. Here, nothing. Spolo is saying that they're basically going to do ecology without ideology. Good luck with that.
Oh, by the way, ecology without ideology. This is a really nice catchphrase. It was coined by the Pirate Party.
Oh yes.
In order to distance themselves from the green madness and the Green New Deal madness.
And the fanatics.
Yeah, from the neo-Marxists, you know?
Well, that's
for the left-wing party.
Am I wrong in thinking that coal is a big deal in the Czech Republic? Or was?
Listen, I come from 4 generations of coal miners, right? We can talk about the reason why I'm in a university is because we have free tuition, which Spolo is gonna take away. They're gonna make us pay for university. But coal is a big thing, and we have a new coal baron called Daniel Křetínský. By the way, the son of a former constitutional judge, so I'm sure there's nothing to worry about in this country. And he's basically buying up all the mines in all the countries like Germany, which are threatening to shut down coal because he's going to get the subsidies from that. Right. And he's already buying media. He's already doing all that shit.
Classic move. Well,
if I may ask, what do you, how do you envision your podcast Squatemala other than bearing witness to the
to the trolley problem?
Yeah, to the trolley deaths accumulating.
We made a very, I would say, looking back at a very wise decision. Our post-election special wasn't about like horse race, wasn't about like who has these many mandates. We were trying to talk to people about the importance of community, of fitting in, of organizing to a certain extent, but also trying to, through a combination of friendship and self-discipline, make the world a better place, even locally. Because right now, at this moment, there is no political headspace for a political project that would operate on the basis of the collective. There is only the individual. And we have to build that politics of the collective from the ground up in this country. And I think that we are trying to do that. We are trying to point people that way, and hopefully it's not too late.
Oh yeah. And whether in addition to that, you've also mentioned you've alluded to Polish and post-Yugoslav comrades, and I feel like that doesn't have to be a purely local phenomenon. There's
there was a lot of people saying the exact same thing after the last British election as well. Like the UK is kind of in this, like, for anyone who kind of like, I don't think our podcast listeners are under any kind of illusion that like electoral politics is the be all end all, even necessarily super important in a lot of countries. And the situation is not unique to Eastern Europe. There's a lot of electoral dead ends in the United States, in the UK, Germany to an extent even. More to come with that. Rob's still working on his Guy Debord episode.
Right.
So yeah. Oh my God. Well, thank you. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I'm going to give you guys a final word here, but for anyone who didn't hear it before, you can catch Andra and Martin on Squatemala if you understand the Czech language. I strongly recommend it. They're incredibly lovely. I've been talking to them for the last hour and a half. Anything else you guys want to plug?
I want to say that I've been listening to Cornish Späti since I think spring 2019. And it was summer of 2019 when I really let the Späti mindset enter through me. And you've been a big inspiration to what we're trying to do. Your exact combination of humor and seriousness. It's a great thing that we're ripping off. And thank you for having us. It's been a great honor.
Anytime. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you wanna talk about the 90s, sometimes in the future we will.
Always want to talk about the 90s. Pogs, Pokemon. I believe Bionicle was mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Privatization, all of my favorite toys.
Privatization of Bionicle.
Yes.
No, I will just say one quick thing is that's very flattering, makes me feel good. But I think I told you there's 3 out of 4 of us are immigrants to Germany, and there's always some limitation in talking about European politics in English and from Berlin. And let me just say that ripping off is the point. So may 1,000 rip-offs bloom. That's the highest compliment that anyone could pay me or any of the people we've ripped off. So
oh God, yeah, no, we invented this. Don't look into what's happening in the United States. It was definitely an original idea. Well, yes, thank you again, and
yeah, thank you so much.
Those listening at home, do check out Squatemala. There'll be links in the description. And we will catch you on the bonus episode. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.